Have you started feeding your dog the BARF diet, but feel like something is still missing? The truth is that many owners forget about essential supplements, those micronutrients that are not present in meat, bones, and offal in sufficient quantities, and that can make all the difference in your pet's health, immunity, and longevity. In this video, you will find out what are the indispensable supplements that most BARF diets forget, the risks of zinc, vitamin E, iodine, manganese, and vitamin D deficiency, how to use digestive enzymes, taurine, omega-3, and prebiotics in the right way, how to set up a personalized, safe, and effective protocol for your dog. Attention, even a small deficiency can impair the absorption of nutrients and cause silent diseases. Learn how to supplement safely based on data and not guesswork. Your dog deserves a natural, balanced, and scientifically complete diet. Watch until the end to put together the ideal protocol for him. Did you like the content? Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with other owners who follow the BARF diet. Transitioning to a natural diet based on raw ingredients offers numerous health benefits for dogs. However, as more owners delve deeper into the BARF universe, a little discussed reality begins to emerge. Not every homemade diet, no matter how natural it may seem, is automatically complete. There are silent nutrients, forgotten micronutrients, that, even in small amounts, are essential for the vitality, longevity, and balance of the canine body. Ignoring these gaps can compromise the expected results and put the animal's health at risk. The first big mistake is to believe that variety alone guarantees everything. Yes, meats, meaty bones, offal, and vegetables offer a wide range of nutrients, but the bioavailability of certain key elements may be limited without the strategic addition of specific supplements. One of the main examples is zinc, a mineral crucial for the immune system, skin healing, coat health, and cellular integrity. In raw beef-based diets, for example, the proportion of zinc may be insufficient, especially when bones or viscera of certain species are not used. Supplementation with chelated zinc or natural sources such as dehydrated oysters can be decisive to avoid conditions. Another nutrient that is often overlooked is vitamin E. As a fat-soluble antioxidant, it protects cells against oxidative stress in addition to supporting muscle and neurological health. When the diet is rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, especially when introducing fish, flaxseed, or sardine oil, the need for vitamin E increases considerably. Deficiency can lead to muscle weakness, neuromuscular degeneration, and even heart problems. Ideally, you should calculate the amount of vitamin E based on fat intake, or use mixed tocopherol supplements in safe doses adjusted for the dog's weight and age. Vitamin D, on the other hand, is often overlooked because humans synthesize it through sun exposure. But dogs don't have that same cutaneous ability. In a domestic environment with low direct sun exposure, vitamin D must be guaranteed by food. Natural sources include fish, such as sardines, mackerel, and cod liver, but even these may not reach optimal levels. Supplementing with vitamin D3 in adjusted microdoses is a practice recommended by several veterinarians specializing in nutrition. The lack of this vitamin can cause everything from bone problems in puppies to endocrine imbalances in adult dogs. And when we talk about forgotten minerals, we cannot fail to mention manganese. Essential for skeletal development, joint function, and carbohydrate metabolism, manganese is usually not present in sufficient amounts in ordinary meats and bones. Rich sources like mussels, shellfish, or rice bran are almost never part of the standard BARF diet. The absence of this mineral can cause joint dysplasia, lameness, and connective tissue problems, especially in large or growing breeds. Therefore, it is common to include specific supplements or intentionally use foods with a high concentration of manganese in personalized dietary plans. Another component that is often overlooked is iodine. Essential for thyroid function, iodine is one of the most sensitive nutrients for balance. Absence can lead to hypothyroidism, lethargy, weight gain, and infertility. Excess, on the other hand, is also harmful. Therefore, supplementing iodine must be done with extreme precision. One of the safest ways is the controlled use of seaweed such as kelp, Ascophyllum nodosum, which, in calculated microdoses, provides the ideal amount to support hormonal function without risk of intoxication. In addition to the classic elements, there are components that make all the difference in the absorption and integration of nutrients, digestive enzymes. Although dogs are naturally carnivorous and possess enzymes capable of processing animal protein, the raw diet can include fibrous vegetables, seeds, and other foods whose digestion can be benefited by enzymes such as amylase, lipase, and protease. These supplements help not only in the absorption of nutrients, but also in the reduction of intestinal fermentations and the health of the microbiota. Taurine, although produced endogenously by dogs, is another amino acid that can fall below optimal levels in diets that do not prioritize muscle or myocardium-rich cuts. Its deficiency, even in dogs, has been associated with cases of dilated cardiomyopathy, especially in large breeds or diets low in red meat. The addition of taurine in supplement form can be vital in formulations that use a lot of white meat, such as chicken or turkey. Finally, a common mistake among owners who are new to BARF is to rely only on generic commercial supplements. Many of these products are aimed at dogs fed with industrial food and do not contemplate the metabolic logic and distribution of macro and micronutrients of a raw diet. It is essential that supplementation is based on laboratory tests, veterinary evaluation, and adaptation to the particularities of each dog: age, size, activity level, clinical history, and breed predispositions. The construction of a personalized supplementation protocol should be seen not as an unnecessary complexity, but as a care step. A dog well supplemented within the BARF diet is a dog with heightened immunity, healthier coats, extended longevity, and a lower risk of silent disease. While tutors take care of selecting the best raw ingredients, it is in the invisible details, in the forgotten microdoses, that true health is built. And the difference between a healthy and deficient BARF diet can be literally in milligrams, even when the diet seems complete in the eyes of the owner. With varied meats, meaty bones, liver, vegetables, and even seeds, the absence of a precise nutritional approach can still result in cumulative imbalances. The dog's body is an extremely sensitive biochemical machine, and unlike human nutrition, which tolerates occasional deficiencies, dogs do not compensate for micronutrients by eating a little too much of any food. They need exact amounts, and more than that, they need a balance between nutrients so that the absorption of one does not compromise the use of the other. A classic example is calcium versus phosphorus. In BARF diets, calcium is usually supplied by the use of raw fleshy bones, such as chicken necks or beef ribs. Phosphorus, on the other hand, is present in large quantities in muscle meats. The problem arises when the owner offers too much lean meat and too few bones. Excess phosphorus without enough calcium interferes with bone metabolism, which can cause demineralization, weakness, fractures, and skeletal deformities, especially in puppies or older dogs. A common mistake is to believe that bones alone solve the equation, when, in fact, the correct ratio between calcium and phosphorus must be constantly adjusted according to the growth, reproductive phase, and individual metabolic needs of the animal. Another sore point is vitamin B1, thiamine. Highly unstable to heat and prolonged storage, thiamine can be destroyed even in apparently fresh meats or after botched freezing. Its deficiency can cause neurological symptoms such as tremors, loss of balance, confusion, and even seizures. Because BARF is based on raw ingredients, many owners believe they are exempt from this risk, which is not true. Natural thiamine supplementation can be done through giblets, such as heart and kidney. But in situations of greater demand, puppies, lactating females, or convalescent dogs, the inclusion of B complexes is highly recommended. These compounds also favor appetite, cellular energy, and protein metabolism. Magnesium, often overlooked, is vital for more than 300 biochemical reactions in the dog's body, including muscle contraction, nerve conduction, and electrolyte balance. Its deficit can be silent for weeks, initially manifesting as chronic tiredness, exercise resistance, and hyperexcitability. On BARF diets without seeds, algae, or dark green vegetables, magnesium may be suboptimal. Supplementation, in turn, should be done with forms of high bioavailability, such as magnesium chloride PA, always in a dosage calculated with veterinary guidance. There are also nutrients whose names are not always familiar, but whose role is critical. One of them is choline, a substance essential for liver function, fat transport, and neurological health. In diets with a high content of animal fat, common in BARF, choline acts as a regulator of lipid emulsification, preventing liver overload and conditions such as hepatic lipidosis. Raw eggs, with raw yolks, are excellent sources of choline, but not all dogs tolerate them well and not always in sufficient amounts. Therefore, supplementation with choline bitartrate in small doses can make a decisive difference, especially in elderly dogs or those with a history of liver problems. Another key to nutrient integration is the presence of essential fatty acids, especially omega-3s in their active form, EPA and DHA. Although some cuts of meat contain animal fat, this does not mean the presence of omega-3s in significant amounts. The use of sardine or anchovy oils, rotated and refrigerated, ensures the quality of the fatty acid and its oxidative stability. However, as already mentioned in the previous block, the inclusion of these oils requires attention to vitamin E, which needs to be supplemented in parallel to protect cell membranes from oxidation caused by the omegas themselves. Within the same reasoning, a supplement that has been gaining relevance in advanced BARF protocols is molybdenum, essential for the function of certain enzymes that metabolize purines, sulfates, and toxic substances from the environment. In dogs exposed to pollutants, pesticides, or living in dense urban regions, The calculated inclusion of molybdenum can assist the liver in processing and excreting these toxins, reducing the oxidative load on the body. In addition to micronutrients, there are compounds that act as metabolic cofactors, that is, facilitators of complex organic reactions. One of them is N-acetylcysteine, NAC, a precursor to glutathione, the body's most important antioxidant. NAC has been successfully used by veterinarians in cases of poisoning, liver diseases, and chronic inflammatory conditions. Although it is not mandatory in all BARF protocols, it can be indicated as a temporary supplement in dogs with a delicate clinical history. No less important is the attention to prebiotics and probiotics, which, although they are not micronutrients in themselves, are responsible for ensuring the health of the intestinal ecosystem, where the absorption of most of the nutrients mentioned occurs. An unbalanced microbiota can make it impossible to absorb everything that has been carefully included in the diet. Therefore, supplements with specific strains of Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, and Enterococcus faecium, as well as fermentable fibers such as inulin and FOS, should be part of the feeding routine, especially in dogs undergoing dietary transitions, previous use of antibiotics, or chronic diarrhea. The real differential of the BARF diet is not only in the absence of ultra-processed foods or the inclusion of fresh foods, it resides in nutritional intelligence. It is the ability to understand the dog's real needs and to intervene precisely where diet alone does not reach. Each supplement has its role, and each absence can generate a silent symptom. When implementing a BARF diet, many owners are concerned with the base menu: meat, bones, offal, vegetables, fruits. However, when reaching the supplementation stage, insecurity appears. Which supplement to use? At what dose? For how long? And more importantly, how to avoid excesses or shortages that can compromise the entire planning? The answer starts with a key word: individualization. No dog has the same metabolism, the same needs, or the same medical history. Age, breed, size, level of physical activity, history of diseases, previous use of medications, and even genetic predispositions directly influence the way the canine body processes and absorbs nutrients. A beneficial supplement for a senior dog may be unnecessary or even dangerous for a puppy. The first step, therefore, should always be to evaluate biochemical tests, blood count, liver panel, kidney, and, if possible, analysis of minerals in the blood or hair. With the data in hand, the supplementation protocol can be set up in a segmented way. There are 4 pillars that should be observed in every well-structured BARF diet. 1. Daily-based supplements. These are those that compensate for natural gaps in the raw diet. They include, for example, vitamin E in synergy with oils, chelated zinc, controlled iodine, such as kelp algae in microdoses, and digestive enzymes. These compounds act daily on metabolism, cell protection, and hormonal support. Your doses should be adjusted based on body weight and dietary fat level. 2. Clinical correction supplements. Used temporarily, they are indicated when the exams reveal imbalances. Magnesium, choline, NAC, B-complex, and molybdenum come into play here. These products must be used under veterinary supervision with defined deadlines and constant reevaluations. They are not permanent and should not be used preventively without proven need. 3. Supplements for functional support in specific phases. These include probiotics, prebiotics, and eventually amino acids like taurine. They are recommended in phases such as post-antibiotic, food transition, pregnancy, lactation, post-surgical recovery, or in cases of prolonged stress. Natural antioxidants such as turmeric, resveratrol, and spirulina also fit in here, which act to combat oxidative stress. 4. Performance and longevity supplements. This category is aimed at working dogs, sport dogs, or seniors who need extra support. This is where hydrolyzed collagen for joints and cartilage, glucosamine plus, chondroitin, MSM, and omega-3 fatty acids in therapeutic doses come in. The idea is not only to correct, but to enhance quality of life, delay cellular aging, and preserve joint, brain, and heart function for longer. But along with the choice of supplements comes the second critical part, the way they are administered. Some supplements should be offered with the main meal, others fasting. Some need to be diluted in water. Others should never be given together with iron or calcium, so there is no competition in absorption. Bioavailability varies dramatically depending on the type of supplement, e.g., zinc picolinate, citrate, or oxide, with very different efficacies, and the pharmaceutical form, capsule, powder, liquid, chewable. Another vital care is with the interaction between supplements. A classic example is the concomitant use of calcium and zinc in high doses. Calcium can inhibit zinc absorption. Another example is excess vitamin A, which can overwhelm the liver and negate the benefits of vitamin D. For this reason, ready-made protocols taken from the internet or homemade mixtures made without calculation can turn a well-intentioned owner into a cause of a dangerous imbalance. And there is also an often overlooked risk: cumulative excess. Unlike deficiency, which usually takes time to manifest, the excess of some micronutrients can cause silent toxicity, with damage to organs such as the liver, kidneys, and thyroid. Iodine, selenium, vitamin D, and copper are the most critical in this regard. In some cases, a dosage only slightly above the requirement for long periods can generate irreversible consequences. Therefore, continuous professional guidance and control examinations are essential for any dog that uses regular supplementation. In the ideal scenario, supplementation in the BARF diet should not be seen as a correction of errors, but as a natural part of the animal's nutritional construction. It's like assembling an engine. The raw ingredients are the larger parts: pistons, gears, shafts, while the add-ons are the screws, fittings, and oil that ensure everything runs in sync and without friction. By understanding this, the tutor stops operating on the fly and begins to offer the dog a truly functional diet, complete, accurate, and capable of sustaining health, vitality, and longevity based on science, not guesswork. BARF feeding is, first and foremost, a commitment. And for those who decide to follow this path, knowing and correctly applying essential supplements is the step that separates an attempt from a true nutritional revolution.